Hey Corkies, welcome back. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Infinity Bottle. Is it a good idea? I'm going to be doing the Infinity Bottle Feasibility Test, and we're going to find out. So stay tuned. We all know you're supposed to get joy and fascination from even the little things in life that most people take for granted. So here at corkandjava.com, we're here to expand and enrich your experience with all of your favorite beverages through wine, coffee, and whiskey, reviews, and how-tos. So if you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button down below and that little bell so you're notified when all of our future videos come out. All right, guys. If you like whiskey, if you like bourbon, scotch, whatever, please give me a thumbs up because it just helps the YouTube algorithm and it shows me that you love whiskey. So if you're not familiar with what an infinity bottle is, it's a pretty simple concept and it's a little bit controversial as well. You take basically your leftover whiskeys and there's a few different methods to it, and you fill an empty bottle up, and it's best practice to try to keep it pretty full at all times to reduce oxidation of your infinity bottle whiskey. And it's basically just a blend of the different whiskeys that you've had over the years, and there's always a little trace of everything that you've tried in there because it all mixes together. And every time you add something new to it, it changes the flavor a little bit. But it's not without controversy. I'm pretty sure you could probably royally screw this up and come out with a nasty bottle that is just ruined. But what I'm gonna do to test this out, to see if it's even a feasible concept, if it's better than just your regular whiskeys, or if it just makes everything worse, I'm gonna be only doing bourbons. So I got a little bit of Knob Creek, a 9-year aged right there. We got some Jim Beam, the black extra aged bourbon there. Just a little bit left of that. And our trusty old Evan Williams here. And we're just gonna start with these three. We're gonna mix them together about equal portions apiece. And if it's good, then yeah, the infinity bottle's feasible. If it doesn't turn out bad, all three of these are bourbons. They're very similar in taste. So if it doesn't work with these three, I would say no, infinity bottle is not feasible. And then if it is feasible, maybe I'll add a little something that might ruin it. We'll see. Let's give this a shot. All right, got me a funnel here. That's important so we don't have some spillage all over the place. All right, go on the Knob Creek first. Yeah, and if this works out, maybe this will be the start of my infinity bottle adventure, and I can keep you guys updated. All right, some of the Jim Beam. Typically not a big fan of Jim Beam, but this extra aged one is drinkable. The Knob Creek is very good for a 9-year aged whiskey there. And then our trusty Evan Williams here. Just a good everyday go-to. Just a little bit of that. About even of all three here. All right. Take the funnel off for now. They all mixed in pretty well together. Just gonna give it a small taste there. See how it's on the nose? Overall, there's not a lot going on. I get a lot of the sweetness from a lot of the mash bills, but I'm getting some like kind of weird notes in there as well that I don't know. I don't normally get when I have these individually. It's almost kind of like a banana-y-ness to it, which is a little weird. And then the ethanol notes, it's a little bit hot, but it's strange. It's like in different waves. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of rye in there as well, and that's got to be coming from the Knob Creek there. But let's give it a try. It is interesting. Whoa. So, what I didn't expect, and what's going on here, is, I don't know if it's particularly better than, I'd say it's better than the Evan Williams by itself, and it's better than the Jim Beam. It's not better than the Knob Creek, however, it's more complex than all three of them. There is a lot going on, and it's got a longer finish than I remember any of these three having by itself. And I don't know why that is or what's causing that. If you've had any weird experiences like that with your Infinity bottle, please let me know down in the comments, because I'm getting like a very long finish, which isn't characteristic of any of these. I definitely do get some of that rye coming through from the Knob Creek, which isn't heavy in either the Jim Beam or the Evan Williams. So that's pretty interesting. I would say overall, yeah, it is definitely feasible, and I'm a little scared what this would be like if you ventured anything other than the same category of whiskey together. Like, mixing all bourbons is good. Probably even add some Tennessee whiskey in there if you wanted to. But where things might get bad is if we start adding some either Scotch, Irish, Japanese, any whiskey like that. Canadian whiskey would probably be fine. It's just, that's normally just kind of a sweeterish bourbon light kind of taste to me. But yeah, let's see if we can mess this up with some Scotch. What I got here is some McClellan's. They're Islay single malt Scotch. It's really cheap, especially for Scotch. So, and for an Islay though, it is pretty tame. It's definitely got the smoky and peatiness to it, but nowhere near as complex or as nice long finish as you get from like a Lagavulin 16 or an Ardbeg or something like of that nature. But it's still, I think, enough where it's gonna be messing with this Infinity bottle. So this is the test to see if you can really kind of go crazy experimenting, or if you really want to stay within a certain category for your Infinity bottle. So in the name of science, here we go. Not gonna add a lot, just a little bit, just to see if even just a little bit is gonna screw this over royally. So here we go. Here we go. We got 3 bourbons and a Scotch. This is the true test here. I don't know what happens, but like anytime I'm mixing these, it kills the nose. I'm definitely getting the Scotch coming through, but it's so much more mild with it, not watered down, but I don't know, laced with the different bourbons in there. It's almost like if you took, I've had some beers that have been like peated, and it's kind of like, oh, it kind of has that hint of Scotch to it. This is like a bourbon that they maybe like peated or something. It's interesting because it's definitely way sweeter on the nose than the normal McClellan Islay would be, but I still get a smoke and kind of that iodine-y hit on the nose that's definitely coming from the Scotch there. Oh yeah, let's give it a try and see if this is awful. Oh, so it started off so promising. Oh, so, and it ended good too. So it started off sweetness coming in forward with the Evan Williams, but the mid palate was trash. It was god awful. It did not mix well together. But then on the back end, the Islay Scotch took over as the prominent note of all of the bunch, and that's pretty much what you're just left with at the end. So it was fine in the beginning, the first hit. Then the flavors just did not work together, and then the end, the Scotch took over, and it was fine. But yeah, let me try it again to see if anything happens the second time. Not quite as bad now that my palate's kind of used to it, but I still think that that middle section, it's just too much clashing to me. If you've got bourbon and scotch laying around, do your own experiment and let me know what you think. But yeah, definitely not going to be doing an infinity bottle mixing scotch in with other types of whiskeys. I definitely recommend, if you're going to try an infinity bottle, to stick with a certain variety of whiskey and try to keep it fairly consistent, because one wrong thing in there is going to ruin the entire bottle and it's done at that point. Another thing that I don't know about, which is kind of a wild card for me, is what this will be like long term as far as oxidation goes. Obviously you're going to want to keep it as full as possible, but just over, I don't know, years of having this and continually adding, is the whiskey that's in there still oxidizing every time you open it, add something new, drink some, open it, add something new. You're never really getting rid and flushing out everything that's been in there. So yeah, you might be adding stuff in that isn't oxidized and fresh, but a lot of the stuff that's in there has had plenty of opportunity to see oxygen. So that's kind of a question mark for me, what the long-term effect of an infinity bottle is. Also, if you've done this for a long time, let me know in the comments if that's an issue or not. So I don't really know the long-term effects of doing that, but definitely a cool experiment. Yeah, I mixed the scotch in so you don't have to, and I definitely was surprised. It did better than I was expecting, although for some reason on the nose, anytime I mixed them together, the more I mixed together, the kind of less prominence that I was getting through. It was just the more kind of alcohol hotness and less kind of flavor characteristics. I don't know, because the different mash bills just don't mix well together for the nose, but on the palate it was all right. Yeah, I would like to try a few different bourbon variations and see how that works. And yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to trying an infinity bottle, a bourbon one. That's I think, you know, there's a lot of strict rules that go behind bourbon, so you're not going to get too much variation. I would recommend staying away from super rye heavy, because I definitely noticed the Knob Creek, which to my knowledge has a higher rye content, even though this isn't a rye. If you're going to be putting a rye in, just note that the rye is going to be pretty powerful and it's going to make it taste like a rye for a long time, unless that's what you're going for. If you want to do a rye infinity bottle, do a rye infinity bottle, but just be careful with ryes. Obviously with something like a scotch, anything that's overpowering, it's gonna overtake everything else in the bottle. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, leave a comment with if you've done an infinity bottle, what's worked for you, what hasn't worked. Yeah, I'd like to know down in the comments, and I'm interested to start start one maybe in the coming future. Definitely not going to be putting scotch in there though. I think I'm going to do a bourbon one. What do you guys think? Thumbs up if you think I should do a Bourbon Infinity Bottle. Alright guys, make sure you check us out on Facebook, Cork and Java group there. It's great interaction and community. We also got a Pinterest, a Twitter, and an Instagram. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys online. So until next time, bottoms up.